And so they passed an initiative in the legislature to create a presidential primary. Now, unfortunately, up until 2016, the Democratic Party had never used it, the results. They would conduct it, but they would never use it for the results. They used caucus. And I think the best thing that could have happened to our state for both parties, the Democrats had Bernie Sanders in 2016, the Republicans had Ron Paul in 2012. And that was the first time the parties realized, yeah, caucus doesn't work in the modern era. So this is the first time in the history of the state both parties are going to use the results of the primary ran by election officials who do this, professionally.
So with the recent fiasco in reporting votes in the Iowa caucus, that got us wondering if something similar could happen here in our own upcoming primary. We think the answer is no, but we invited Washington Secretary of State Kim Wyman to discuss it all. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I mean, what happened in Iowa?
Well, you got to remember the caucus process is a political party activity that the party runs with largely volunteers, and it's like a primary where you have a lot of people who come in at one time and there's a lot of moving parts, and it turns out it's kind of hard to do. So yeah.
Made extra hard this year by the fact that they were trying to report all the iterations of the vote. They were using an app that didn't work. Their phone lines got clogged. I mean, we're still waiting for full results.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Why should we not worry that something like that would happen to us?
Well, what's great is the voters back in the late 80s in our state realized that caucus was probably not the best way to elect choose our nominee for the major parties.
Although they were fun to attend. I used to like it
fun. You like to argue with your neighbors about politics and religion,
I
right?
like to listen to other people argue.
And so they passed an initiative in the legislature to create a presidential primary. Now, unfortunately, up until 2016, the Democratic Party had never used it, the results. They would conduct it, but they would never use it for the results. They used caucus. And I think the best thing that could have happened to our state for both parties, the Democrats had Bernie Sanders in 2016, the Republicans had Ron Paul in 2012. And that was the first time the parties realized, yeah, caucus doesn't work in the modern era. So this is the first time in the history of the state both parties are going to use the results of the primary ran by election officials who do this, professionally and know what they're doing, and they're going to allocate their delegates to their national convention based on the outcome of the presidential primary.
All right, that all sounds good to me. What date?
It is March 10th.
March 10th. So we're up in the pack.
Yes. Oh, and that's another
good.
great thing. We moved it up. It's more relevant. It'll be right after Super Tuesday, and right now it's looking like we might be in play. So that's a great thing for our voters.
Yeah, I mean, it is, because it makes candidates come and visit us and talk to us, and we're not just taken for granted one way or the other. So we're all male.
Yes.
And that's just the way this is going to run. So there is a paper trail for our vote.
That is correct. Yes, that's the strength of our system.
Okay, very good. Smartphone voting is going to be used in an election in Seattle soon.
Yes.
Tell me about that. I'm sorry, I thought, what could go wrong? I don't know about this. But tell me why this is happening.
Well, there's a conservation district in King County. It's a King Conservation District, and about 1.2 million registered voters are in the district. But when they conduct it, it's kind of this obscure district, and very few people participate. I think they wanted to increase turnout and voter engagement, which are great things. They're using a smartphone app, and I am hoping everything goes well, but I'm very concerned because from what I hear from every cybersecurity expert I know, email and fax ballots, which we're trying to roll back for our military overseas voters, not a secure transmission method, and really all these app-based, blockchain, encrypted, whatever security thing you want to throw around, they're not vetted enough to actually instill confidence, and that's what I'm most concerned about.
I feel like if Jeff Bezos can get hacked, then
And that's a problem. So even if we can buy the premise that everything is secure and totally verifiable, it's an electronic audit trail. So I have to tell you as a voter, well, trust the audit trail. We can look through the code, though, if you'd like to do that. Or trust blockchain, trust encryption. And for a voter, it's a higher standard to get them to buy into it. And I have to make everyone, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, believe the results were fair and accurate and secure.
I think we're in this age now where people might have kind of talked about election fairness in the past, but now it's like this huge thing. And I worry about what happens when we don't believe in the election results and what the consequences of that are going to be. So what are your recommendations going forward? Because I know you really value as much participation as we can get, as secure an election as we can make.
It's, you know, it's a tough time because I know that I have county auditors across and an election director in the state that really would like to see us do some innovative things. So do I. But we have to really do true tests and trials. And I want to do that. This isn't the year to do it. 2020, we have been gearing up for the November election for the last 4 years in cybersecurity. We need to keep doing that. Our county partners have helped us build a really secure system. I'm confident there. Let's go ahead and let's first of all make it secure by getting rid of the email and fax ballot transmission, and then after this election, let's have that robust discussion. Let's work with the vendors. I want to see innovation too. It just has to be something that instills confidence.
Give it plenty of time.
Yes.
What do you think will happen with Iowa's first in the nation caucus status? I mean, I think there's a lot of head shaking. Let's not do this again.
Yeah. Well, we still have a number of states that are going to do caucuses for their presidential nominating process. So let's see how those go in those states. And I hope that it makes both parties take a step back and kind of evaluate, is caucus still the best way to nominate someone? And I think hopefully by 2024, we will move to state primaries.
I heard that Nevada may be using the same app that Iowa did. Is that true or false?
I think that was their plan, and I think that they are now going to revert to a traditional caucus with paper ballots, or however they did it in there. I think that Iowa is scaring them, as it should.
So is smartphone voting in the future, is that ever going to be a thing?
Well, right now we're working with a few counties that are using it for our military overseas voters. I think up until the last couple weeks, they thought it was a great idea. I think now, again, you've got security experts that are looking at these, and once you put an app like that out, all of the hackers try to get into it. And many of those are what they call white hat hackers that are really trying to make things better. And they'll point out, this might be vulnerable, this might be a way people could get in. And the companies listen to that. But again, once they release something like that to the public, now everybody knows.
Yeah.
So I think maybe when we can get to a point where we can instill confidence, I think it will be. But until then, it's going to be a long haul.
It is such a strange time where people don't have a lot of faith in anything much. There isn't much trust, and I know for a person who does what you do, I mean, that's a huge currency, right? For people to believe in, to buy in, to participate. What can you tell people about how to go through this information, verify what's true or not? What do they need to know so that they can make good decisions about going forward in this election?
Well, you know, in 2016 and the aftermath, I think there was a lot of emphasis on Russia hacking our system, and I can confirm that they did try to get in our system, and they didn't.
In this state?
In Washington State. They scanned all 50 states, make no mistake. They tried.
We didn't know that at first,
Yes,
but they did.
We know that now. And so that's not okay. I mean, it's not okay for anyone to try to get into our system. But there was a secondary layer that I'm not sure everyone's aware of. They tried to influence our election, which is almost more powerful. They were on social media and had a presence trying to divide our country, trying to divide and put people against each other. I'm more worried about that influence campaign in some ways than the cyber side, although both of them keep me up at night. So I think what I want people to take away is that we have a coordinated effort nationwide called Trusted Info 2020. And it's an actual hashtag, and secretaries of state across the country are using it, and our county election partners will be too. And if you want election information, go to your Secretary of State's page. Go to the county auditor or election director's page. Get the information from a trusted source. And we're really trying to partner with our media partners and get them involved too. And we want to drive people to legitimate news sources, legitimate sites, and not just assume that if it's on Facebook, it's legitimate.
Yeah, because it's not.
It's not necessarily.
Twitter has the same problem. You may be arguing with a bot.
Right.
So it's just something to keep in mind when you see something so inflammatory. Thank you very
You're
much
welcome.
for helping us with this. We appreciate it.